guys are having a fantastic weekend from where you are seeing this. In today's video, I want to show you how to do this dripping chrome text effect. Okay. I also have other variations that you could cover, like this one over here. Yeah, it's more or less the same concept, just done differently, applying a different shade of chrome material, a different font, and that's what I want to cover in this video. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. I can't do everything step by step since this will take us very long. So let me just try to break down what's happening. So first thing you want to do, let me just hide my two layers. You'd be starting on something like this, add a text, create a text. Let's name this text Chrome, and then just try around. You can try around with any fonts that you want. I found the one that I used on this one to be, let me see, this was an elephant. This was the elephant font. Make it as large as you want, whatever works for you. To create this texture, to create this look, you need to go on the internet and look for liquid chrome JPG or JPEG or PNGs. You should see variations of things like that look like this. You can look at different shades of color that you can apply on this one. So these are the ones that I downloaded and will be using for this tutorial. Once you have them, you can also use them as they are, but I prefer to import them into AE and then create a new comp for them. Let me just create a new comp for that, call it images. I already have that done, so I won't repeat the same thing. Let me just go down to that comp. I try to explain what I did behind this. So essentially what I did after adding these images, you need to enlarge them. What do I mean? It means that you'll most likely be dropping an image that looks like this. Let me isolate that. You need to fit it into the whole comp. So in this case, I rotated this one 90 degrees and then right click, go to transform and fit to comp so that it fits the entire comp. And that's basically what you're going to do for the rest of the other images. Then add an adjustment layer and blur that image. It's kind of very important if you can blur that image so that when you apply this material on element, it doesn't have that exact kind of glossiness and sharpness that we want to see on a chrome-ish image. So that's what I did with this comp. Once you do that, just go to comp, save framers, or save that image as a PNG or a JPEG once again and export it. So I won't do that. As I said, I think this will be a very long tutorial if I go step by step while you guys know more how to do most of these things. Right click and create a new solid and add element on it. On element, just go to custom layers and point it to the text that we just added, and then we can go to the scene setup for this and extrude it so that you can have a 3D-ish looking object. So I'll get rid of this and let me now explain what I did with this one. So we'll go under this main comp, go under the groups, the solid, go to the scene setup so that I can show you how I did set up this chrome look for this specific one. This is what it looked like. Essentially, we just extruded. You can see my values for extrusion were up together with the bevel size to make it as thick-ish as possible. So don't forget to try around with the bevel size and to extrude the text so that it's big. Then the important part for this, just go to the presets, and you can, if you don't have any pro shaders or elite shaders, just go to the physical shades that are provided by Element, drag the chrome on this, which would set you up on something like this. Alternatively, if you have pro shaders, I think you can go to the translucents, find something shiny like this rough glass, and then we can customize from here. Anyway, let me just bounce back to the other one since we don't want anyone to be lost with this tutorial. So I'll put this other one. One thing that I did with this one, under environments, I added a parking blur. Remember, the environment will matter on how the reflection will look around, will look on the object. So if you go for something warm, I hope you're going for a chrome gold-ish kind of look. So just try to toy around with the different environments, see what you get best. Now, once you set the chrome material, just come to the normal bump, then load a texture from your images, which means we'll go to the folder that we exported. So I can add this one over here, hit OK, and you can see it kind of affects the texture around the text itself. Let me switch off the environment. Yeah. So this is a bit too much. We can lower these values. We can also click on this image, play with the UV offset, make sure that it repeats itself. If you want this pattern around, play with the UV repeat, and just playing with the offset, and you can kind of customize how this layer looks. I'll leave my normal bump at around 20%. Now next, add the illumination. Load the same texture, whatever color that you decided to go to work with. Let me hit OK first. Scroll down to illumination, increase the intensity so that you can see what we are adding. Okay, we can toy around with the Fresnel and the biasness, but these are really not important for this one. Once again, come back to the illumination, play with the UV repeat to kind of customize these further down the line. You can stretch it, or you can also just, as we did earlier, and compress it so that you can see more or less of the same layers. Yeah, and you can see we can get this chrome around. Hit OK. I think the illumination works best when it's at 100%. And that's basically how you need to set this up. So let me just cancel whatever I did. Let's see what I did specifically for this image. The environment is just the one we talked about. So you can see the illumination was just the same image. These were my settings. Again, for the normal bump, left it at 20%, did more or less the same thing. We didn't really have to change much over here under the illumination and intensity. Left it at 90%, and that's basically how you achieve this chrome look. Let me cancel this once again. Let's go to a different variation that I did so that we can absorb as much as we can from this tutorial. Once again, under the main text, under our solid, go to the scene setup, and this was our chrome look. As you can see, if we go under the bevel, under this bevel, under the normal bump, I added this gray liquid image. This is the one that I went with for this. We didn't really change much about the UV repeat and everything. It was just very, very straightforward. And this was after adding a normal chrome preset from the physical shades. And that's how you can also come up with this. For this one, again, the reflectivity kind of matters in terms of the environment that you'll be using. As you can see, I went with the Studio Blood. If I tried something greenish like the garden, it's still okay, but you can see it gives us a different shiny chrome. Let's test something else. Proof Blood. This will bring a bluish tone to our chrome. Honestly, just try what works best for you, but these are the basic foundations for creating this. Let me jump back to the main one that you're talking about, that you're covering. So once you had this chrome, adding a glow and a curves will go a long way. Let me show you. This is the glow. This is what it gives us. And with the optical glow, these are my settings: lowering the amount a turn, increasing the size, and then also playing around with the highlights only values so that you can get a very specific glow. Now, if you don't have a third-party glow, you can go under element, under this glow, enable glow, set it to luminance. It should be by default on illumination. Set it on luminance, lower the intensity, increase the radius. Just toy around with these values without the glow, with the glow. It also gets you somewhere close. So I do think that you can also get away with this. But once you have something like that, remember to add a curves afterwards for added contrast. This is what my curves give me. I will switch off the glow from element, re-enable my optical glow, and you can see we really get something very, very entirely different from that. I think it's important if you add some shadows. Let me show you what they look like. With the ambient occlusion, it will help add some shadows into this image. Without the shadows, it's very clear, very good, still works. But if you enable the ambient occlusion, it ensures that shadows are created evenly with regards to where the light is at. You can think of it more like ray tracing, but now with shadows. Okay, so that's what the ambient occlusion was doing. Added a small animation under group 1, create a group null, which will create something like this. Hit U so that you can see our keyframes. This was a small movement I made. I went with this animation that comes in like this. As you can see, I have a scaling keyframe and a little bit of X and Y rotation. So just generally add all the keyframes under this. Now the reason I added this kind of animation is so that we could see, so that you can see that it's a very, very extruded text model that comes in that has depth. If I switch back to another comp that we did, like this one, this was a simple animation. Let me just click on it. Under the group null, I went with a simple scaling and Y rotation. Scaling so that it can start from 0 to something like this. All of this happens in less than a second so that you can see the thickness of this. Sorry, I'm having to pace back and forth. I think this will be the best way for me to explain this without taking too long. And with such an animation, once the scaling got to 100, I let it continue scaling up to 110 for another second. Now let me just get to the juicy part. Once you have these, pre-comp all of that. Once you've pre-comped, this is now where everything starts coming in. Look at where in my pre-comp where the last keyframe is at, which is at around 2 seconds. Jump back, or you can also jump back using this over here. Now once you add this, it's time to kind of make the text drip. Let me switch off every effect. Start off with a CC Blobilize. Yeah, you can see I just added a small keyframe to change the blobbiness from 236 to 78, and that's when it gets more distorted. You can also add a CC Glass. Let me just disable the Blobilize now. Add a CC Glass so that you can see what happens. Again, in the CC Glass, we are keyframing the height. We were going from 0 to 60. Okay, the more you increase this value, the more it distorts much more. So I would feel that 100 is a bit too much. We need to bring it just at around 60. This comes in well. Add those keyframes. This is essentially what the CC Glass does, and this is what the CC Blobilize does. And when both of them are in effect, this is what they do to the text. Okay, once you've covered this, now we can get to the CC Smear. CC Smear is actually really easy to use. I'll enable the first smear. What a smear does is that it drips out the text like this. Okay, so you can see all you need to do, create a from point. If I click on the smear, you can see this is the first point over here. When you got to 2, you also need to select another pointer, and you can see the second pointer is right down here. So it will determine the direction and where this goes up or to the sides. You can change the tip type to either classic or round. What I did for this is that I would alternate between the different smears. I would make sure that they had a different smearing animation on them. Since this is the first CC smear, we'll start from 0 to 300, 360, 400, and then take another second and a half ish, take it to 1,000, so that this animation kind of keeps on going on by itself. One more thing is that the CC smear will also work on the radius. The radius will determine how much of the area around it will affect. If I increase the radius, you can see it affects more of the other letters and other items on the sides. Also, when you duplicate this effect, try to change the radius and the tip type so that you have something different. You can see I had a radius of 80 on the first one, 83. The second one had 100, the third one 180, fourth one 130, to give it a different variation. Then don't forget, offsetting these keyframes goes a really long way to making these look very realistic. As you can see, the keyframes for the smearing are not all happening at the same time. They are not as very simultaneous. Just offset the keyframings so that in this case, the words on the sides kind of drip fast, or generally you have a different rate of dripping on all these texts. So that's generally what you get with these smears. Once you create the first smear, just duplicate the effect and then change the from and the 2 points like that. Now let me just finish this off. I know it's been quite a lengthy tutorial. Again, that's why I said if I did step by step, it would take us longer, and you guys have been watching TikTok for too long, probably can't concentrate on something for that 20 minutes. Now, once you've smeared your texts, okay, like this, we'll add a small plugin. Okay, I will link down this below. It's the Bleed plugin. It's a very simple plugin, but it will give us the dripping effects. Go to Window, Extensions, and enable the plugin. This is a Bleed plugin. What it does, it will drip out the text. On your comp, once you're clicked on your comp, click on Bleed. I don't need the sound effect. Click on Bleed so that it can bleed the text, give it a second or a few. The bleeding comp will give you something like this. If I scroll forward, this is what it will create for you. Now just re-enable your text. Okay, I could put my text above that bleed. Go back to your bleeding, and we need to change the colors for this. So with the bleed, change the object color. You can see this is a bright red, which means that you can pick the brightest colors from your Chrome, and then for the blood color, we can pick another different color from our Chrome text. Maybe the one that's not bright. Try to toy around until you find something that you like. Okay, that's purple and something else. Change until you get something that you like. So I'll go back with this. Once you add it, also don't forget to add a curves. Now I can deactivate my main text, focus on the bleed. We can add a curves so that you can give it some brightness. I was thinking about adding a glow, but it felt like too much. So just add a curves and brighten it like this. If you want, you can also raise the highlights without the curves, with the curves. So that's basically what you want to do with the bleed. I'll delete this so that you can focus on what I had already done. Let me re-enable these layers over here. Okay, so I'll show you what I did with the bleed layer. Put your text above the bleed layer. Okay, then once it's above, wait for the moment where the text has settled in, cut the rest. So if it was starting like somewhere here, I'd cut it so that it can start where I want the bleeding to start after the smearing has happened. So that's basically what I did. Added a small keyframe for the bleed density so that it could start from 0 to 25 so that it can bleed after the text has already blobbilized or been glazed. So you can see I also waited for these keyframes to sort of settle in. So you're also working against the properties that you had also added earlier, which is the CC blobbilize, the CC glass, and again you're also watching for the smear so that the timing of these will make it look as realistic as possible. If you have it happen too early, it won't sell the effect as much as it can. So just play around with the timing and everything else should come together like a fucking puzzle. And that's our final render. As you can see, came in, dripped, and keeps on dripping. And I think you can transition in and out of this text very easily once in your entire project. As you can see, this was my curves. Once again, this was also the colors that I picked for the blood itself. And that's basically what you'd be doing. If I also go to another comp like this one, after bleeding it, these are the colors that I could pick from the Chrome text effects. It's more or less the same properties. But yeah, I hope you are able to learn a lot from this tutorial. Try to take my time with it. In case you're interested in following everything step by step, I'll have the project file for this available on my store so that you can also experiment and see all the small details that go into this. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for riding with me since day one. Anyway, more ideas coming through. Peace out.